Looks like Bishop will be starting things off with a Celestial Colonnade. Over to David Thomas will go. He will crack a Wooded Foothills, going to fall down to 19.
This is a last call for registration for today's 12 p.m. Hopper Challenge.
And now that's a Stomping Ground.
To play today's 12 p.m. Hopper Challenge, please make your way to the side event registration stage.
17 for David Thomas. And now this will be a Shriekhorn. And because of Creeping Chill being in the deck, we've seen players go more towards Shriekhorn and less towards cards like Insolent and Neonate.
Yeah, you're now more in the market for just bulk mill rather than having selection out of your hand.
Thomas is going to activate Shriekhorn on the end step. Cathartic Reunion Conflagrate will go to the graveyard. Upkeep, activate the Shriekhorn again. Prized Amalgam, Bloodghast will go to the graveyard. No Dredger just yet, so Thomas will have to take a draw step.
Some good stuff to work with for a control matchup, but I think Thomas would have really liked to hit something with Dredge.
He'll play a land, trigger the Bloodghast. That'll trigger the Prized Amalgam. The follow-up here is going to be another copy of Shriekhorn. Well, looks like Thomas is going to activate Life from the Loam and Creeping Chill, Helix U. And now he found a Dredger as well. Jonathan Bishop wants to take a look at Creeping Chill. We're going to do the same thing. It is a new powerhouse. Not going to really find it in Standard. Not going to find it in Limited like we had at Grand Prix Denver last weekend. Not a really card you want in those formats.
I don't know. You had to talk me off of playing the Creeping Chill a few times.
I don't know.
Anyhow.
I don't know you did in your sideboard games. That's up to you.
I never brought it in, but I wanted to a few times. If you were sitting next to me and I thought you might see it, it would have been different.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Deals 3 damage, and each opponent Creeping Chill deals 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. So very Lightning Helix, a very expensive version of it, of course, 4 mana sorcery, and it can't even hit creatures. But when Creeping Chill is put into your graveyard from your library, you may exile it. If you do, Creeping Chill deals 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. So when you dredge it over, you gain 3, they lose 3.
And I think this card's a really nice addition. This deck has, as you can see with the Amalgam and the Bloodghast, a lot of staying power against control decks. Hard to manage this deck through removal. It is a little bit on the slow side. It takes a while for its resources to come to bear. And in the matchups that are about just rushing down as fast as possible, these cards don't line up the right way often, and those matchups can be very hard for Dredge. So having a bunch of free Helixes rolled in, I think, improves some of its toughest Game 1 matchups.
Thomas wanted to try to resolve a copy of Faithless Looting. That got countered via Logic Knot, Bishop sacrificing a fetch land and then delving away the fetch land for the counter spell. He'll follow that up with another copy of Celestial Colonnade, but you see the Amalgam is now on the battlefield. Thomas is going to target himself with a Shriekhorn. So a couple cards will go to the graveyard. Among them is a Stinkweed Imp. He'll target himself again. Remember, this is all in the upkeep here for Thomas, and it looks like Stinkweed Imp is the best dredger in the graveyard. So Thomas is going to dredge 5 cards, see if he can keep up with him. Can't, because he's not showing us. So it goes. Well, it looks like maybe another Creeping Chill was revealed there, and there's a Prized Amalgam in the graveyard as well.
Another thing that I like about the Creeping Chills here is that there's spots that Dredge gets into where it's just hard for them to play through Cryptic commands, and putting pressure on your opponent's life total while you're getting Cryptic and Snapcastered is really nice too.
It's an attempt at a Cathartic Reunion, discarding Stinkweed Imp and Conflagrate. That's going to get Spell Snared, Ryan Overture's favorite counterspell in all of Magic. However, 5 damage is still going to come across, and Bishop, I believe, is going to be already down to 6 potentially. Yes, it is. So not a great start here for David Bishop, as now he's going to his 4th turn of the game at 6, facing down 2 creatures and much more dredging to be done, and we can't forget about Conflagrate as well. Jonathan Bishop wants to take a look at the graveyard. He's going to find at least 1 copy of Conflagrate down there. You're actually going to see 2. At least another Amalgam. There's a Life from the Loam down there too. So things are very difficult here for our Jeskai control player.
Yeah, and we're hitting the stage here where Thomas can sort of pivot to Loam and try to set up a lethal Conflagrate while pressuring Bishop with lethal attacks that Bishop has to manage as well.
Hallowed Fountain's going to end the battlefield tapped. We're going to head back over to David Thomas on the upkeep. He's going to Shriekhorn himself one more time. Copperline Gorge and a Faithless Looting will go to the graveyard there for DT. Now he'll take a look, and he's going to dredge Life from the Loam. So 3 cards will be placed in the graveyard. And it looks like a 3rd Creeping Chill. So David Thomas is making short work of this game here, folks. Creeping Chill times 3 brings Thomas up to 23. Bishop down to 3. Here's going to be an attack. Lightning Helix is going to bring Bishop up to 6 and then down to 4. And now, if David Thomas would like to maybe go for a win via Conflagrate here, If he has 4 cards in his hand, he can do so, but it looks like he only has 3.
Yeah, he can loan back 3 lands and try to set it up for next turn, but he's a card short in this spot.
Copperline Gorge, Wooded Foothills, and Wooded Foothills will be the lands that Life and Alone will target and return. Thomas will play the Copperline Gorge, has 4 cards in hand now, and as you mentioned, he can pivot to that Fireball you out via Conflagrate plus Life and Alone, but also keep attacking with Bloodghast.
Yeah, coming at this deck from multiple different angles, and like I said before, a really nice option to have when one of the ways that the control decks can make it problematic for Dredge is just setting up looping cryptic commands, because the only way to deal damage, by and large, is through combat.
Shriekhorns are out of counters, so you're not going to see Thomas activate those on his upkeep anymore. So we'll move on to his draw step roll, Dredge 5. So he could just get very close to winning the game right now via Creeping Chill. Instead, a couple of Narcomoebas here will enter the battlefield for freebies. See how Thomas wants to follow things up here. Remember, this is a legacy Dredge player, is David Thomas. He has a lot of experience playing that deck and a lot of success playing that deck. Now, he's pivoting to Dredge in Modern, and with good reason, as you can see just how much better this deck has gotten with Creeping Chill and how it's lined up in the metagame now. Thomas is going to sacrifice this Wooded Foothills and get himself a mountain. Make sure life totals are correct here, and it looks like both players are good to go. Looks like you have another stamp there. Was that one?
Card with landfall played.
Bloodghast then?
Yep.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh, card is 5 or more counters. Tireless Tracker.
True. You're cleaning up.
Oh, Runaway Steamkin or Risk Factor played.
How are those in the same
Match with the 2018 Open winner. Said David Thomas.
David Thomas, yeah. Yep.
Might be over.
It might be over before like round 4. How about another Narcomoeba? This David Thomas is going wild here. Bloodghast is going to come in. Bishop is going to fall down to 2. All right, we'll try to kill you with Conflagrate.
Spell cast with flashback.
Yep.
Going off.
Yes, you are. Here's a Snapcaster Mage on Lightning Helix. That'll keep Bishop alive for another turn. He's going to go up to 5 and then down to 3. And now he's got to contend with this.
This is a dispiriting game here for Bishop, as his hand was about as good for managing creatures as you could really ask for, and he is getting run over by creatures.
Yes, he is. 4 prize amalgams will be on the battlefield now, along with 3 Narcomoebas and a Bloodghast. Bishop would like to take a look at the graveyard, see exactly what he's going to have to contend with potentially for game number 2 here, as you'll see 2 copies of Bloodghast, actually 3 copies of Bloodghast in the graveyard. Jeez, another Conflagrate, Faithless Lootings. Whew. David Thomas has it all, as they say. And that is going to do it. As Bishop wanted his information on his way out the door, he got it, as David Thomas very easily wins game number 1 here over Jonathan Bishop. Dredge very quickly up a game here over Jeskai Control in a one-sided affair. As we turn our attention to the sideboards now, we're going to start with Jonathan Bishop, who does have at least 2 good cards to bring in there and 2 copies of Anger of the Gods. He's also got 2 Ceremonies, Rejection, 2 Damping Spheres, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Stony Silence, 2 Dispel. An Elspeth Sun's Champion, an Engineer Explosives, and a Negate. Most notably, Patrick, my eyes do not deceive me, no copies of Rest in Peace.
Still some good options here. Negate, Engineer Explosive, Elspeth Sun's Champion, Surgical Extraction, and Anger of the Gods are all good upgrades here for Bishop. You would like to have something a bit more dedicated, but with that said, he's still got plenty of good cards to bring in.
David Thomas has 4 copies of Bitter Blossom, 3 Nature's Claim, 2 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Lightning Axe, an Ancient Grudge, and a Bajuka Bog.
Oh my God, is Bitter Blossom going to be good here? If Bishop is not expecting Bitter Blossom, that's just game. That's game on turn 2.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, you could. I suppose you could talk me into Collective Brutality. I don't. Maybe 2 mana Duress is good enough in this kind of matchup, but the Bitter Blossoms here could be spectacular.
I'm curious if there's going to be any over sideboarding here from David Thomas by bringing in Nature's Claims and or Assassin's Trophy because of fear of Rest in Peace. He doesn't know that it's not there. Now, it's going to be interesting because he can maybe say to himself, well, this is a deck that has Snapcaster Mage and Logic Knot, so maybe there are no Rest in Peace here.
And I think Bitter Blossom is supposed to be that hedge. Any control deck, maybe they have Tormod's Crypt, maybe they have Rest in Peace, you don't really know. But Bitter Blossom totally ignores all that, and if they're not expecting it, a deck as slow as Jeskai Control is going to really struggle to keep up.
Well, those are the options there for both players, and game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment. But before we get there, we're going to start here. We're going to hop over to SCG Game Night, the very popular promotion where somehow it's already the month of October. This year is almost over, folks. There's not a lot of time left to join the program, but if you do, we got some cool stuff coming to you.
And you can head over to go.starcitygames.com/game night to find more information. Every month, Star City Games comes up with new pins and tokens we send to stores that are set up for game night, and then stores can run game night however they want to and give out the pins and tokens. We're in October right now. Head of the class is the promotional token. We got a couple more coming down the pipeline in November with Rise and the Nashes, and December if we have it, which I don't believe I've seen yet. Bramble Hopper Elite. Again, go to starcitygames.com/game night for more information. Find the game night closest to you. Stores, if you want to get signed up, contact your Star City Games in-store player representative.
Getting ready here for game number 2 between David Thomas and Jonathan Bishop. Game number 1, a runaway there for Dredge, as David Thomas destroyed Jonathan Bishop. This matchup seems like it's going to be a pretty tough one here for Jeskai Control, even if they did have Rest in Peace, just because those Bitter Blossoms, as you mentioned, it looks like Thomas prepared for these blue-white Azorius-based control decks.
Yep. And I like sideboard plans like Bitter Blossom. Instead of trying to guess what graveyard card your opponent's bringing in and try to sideboard around that one card when there's 4 or 5 different cards they could possibly have, just ignore it altogether, make the game about a different zone. And if they KO your graveyard, still bad for you, obviously, but, you can play on.
Well, I just like sidestepping them from a direction they're probably not expecting.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Thomas is trying to do here, sidestepping them instead of trying to answering what they're doing and continue to be proactive. To me, that's a great way to attack what people are going to try to do against you when you're playing Dredge. Surgical Extractions, Rest in Peace, Tormod's Crypt, all that stuff that you already mentioned. You can just say, I don't care. Here's a Bitter Blossom. Beat that.
And in the event that they don't have a Graveyard Hate, it's not like you mind having a Bitter Blossom.
Yeah.
It works just fine in those games as well.
So we get ready here for game number 2. Do keep in mind, we've got over 700 players here at the Fort Worth Convention Center here for SCG Dallas Fort Worth. At SCG Tour, hashtag SCGDFW for your tweets all weekend long. Join in on that conversation. Have some fun with us all weekend long as we cover 9 rounds today. 6 tomorrow. Make that cut for the elimination rounds where you at home will get to decide the quarterfinals. And then someone's walking out of here with $5,000. They're the SCG Tour points, pardon me, and an invite to that Season 2 Invitational Weekend at the Berglund Center in Roanoke, Virginia at SCG Con Winter. For now, we turn our attention towards Jonathan Bishop in his opening hand. Looks like he is happy enough as we're underway here in game number 2. He'll kick things off with a Scalding Tarn. For David Thomas, he's got a Copperline Gorge. And now this will be a Conflagrate 4-0. Wants that in the graveyard. This is a roundabout way to do it to get your Dredge engine online. You Conflagrate for 0. Next turn, you play another land. You flash it back, and you say, put all my stuff in the graveyard. That gets my Dredge engine online. And Conflagrate, you would think, not that great of a card in the matchup, but still totally fine.
Well, the enemy number 1 here, once you're past all the graveyard cards in my mind, is Cryptic Command. And you just want to be pressuring them from multiple angles like we saw in the previous game. And you want to push them in a position where if they tap out to Cryptic you before combat, then you have a lethal spell to finish them off. It's not great in the matchup, but I think it is an important part of working your way through Cryptic Command.
Another land there for Jonathan Bishop, and now we're going to head back over to David Thomas. Thomas is going to sacrifice a Bloodstained Mire. Going to fall down to at least 19, potentially 17. His life total is not really a huge concern in a matchup like this.
Well, you still want to be a little bit mindful about it. Jeskai can pivot to burn you out pretty fast, and if your sideboard plan involves Bitter Blossom, you got to be mindful of that too.
That's a very good point, actually. You do see Bishop's hand. He's already got 6 points of burn in there, Lightning Helix and Lightning Bolt. Let's see where Thomas wants to go here. He says, I would like to conflagrate you just for 2, discarding a Stinkweed Imp and a Prized Amalgam. That'll work just fine. Here's a Lightning Helix. We're going upstairs. Maybe the burn plan is the plan here for Jonathan Bishop. We head over to Bishop now. This is a surgical extraction.
So this is the interesting decision. Do you say, I'm going to cut you off of dredging because if you can't dredge, you can't do anything? Or am I going to try to run you out of threats?
Well, I think the plan is to try to run him out of threats. You see the hand here. I see a mountain. I see a wooded foothills. I see an Archmeba. And I think I also see a Bitter Blossom there for David Thomas. Thomas could have played that Bitter Blossom last turn, elected not to. He's going to lose his prize amalgams in the meantime. And we'll see if this pivot sideboard plan here from Thomas is going to work or not. Especially because now he's losing amalgams. And he's going to lose all 4 of them. So Thomas will shuffle, let Bishop continue to take his turn. And this does make for an interesting decision of, let's say, for example, if Jonathan Bishop had a copy of Snapcaster Mage in hand, would he Snapcaster the Surgical and take care of the Stinkweed Imp? Or would he wait for the Bloodghast Stand or an Archimebus?
Well, once you're trying to run out of threats, I think you've got to stay with it. Although I guess Thomas's hand really doesn't have anything going here besides the Bitter Blossom. If you take his 1 Dredger, he doesn't even have a way to get a card with Dredge into the graveyard right now.
All right.
It's not bad.
So Bishop is going to play Snapcaster Mage. Targeting a Surgical Extraction. He'll recast that from the graveyard. Going to pay 2 more life to take care of now all of the Stinkweed Imps in David Thomas's deck. And I can't imagine that Thomas sideboarded 1 out, so there is the 4th one. And those are gone. Thomas will shuffle, represent over to Bishop here in just a moment. We'll see if Bishop does have a 3rd land to play here. And it appears as though the answer is no. We're going to head over to David Thomas now, who does have the ability to resolve a Bitter Blossom now. And he will take that moment to resolve Bitter Blossom and play a Wooded Foothills. Over to Jonathan Bishop we're going to go. And Bishop's plan now of potentially burning out Thomas is very real, as you mentioned, partner.
Yeah, I don't think Thomas made a mistake by getting the Blood Crypt. You got to get your stuff online, but it's going to be hard for Bishop to win a long game here. He doesn't have the best control tools left over, and it's hard to just maintain Dredge that way over a long game anyway. But you can try to run him down. Going to be hard because your only offense is a Snapcaster Mage, and it's hard to slog through the tokens from Bitter Blossom that way, but it is a plan.
Thomas down to 11 after the 2 from the Snapcaster and the fetch. Let's make it 10 now that the Bitter Blossom trigger will resolve. We got an Arilax Fairy token in the house as we head back over to Thomas now. Narcomoeba in hand. Not much past that here for David, and he does have to be worried about being burned out when playing against Jeskai. There are Lightning Bolts, Lightning Helixes, and sometimes even more. Let's see what this is going to be. Is this maybe another... Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Well, it's another Bitter Blossom here for David. He's going to play this game one way.
He's got to close it out fast.
And you see another copy of Narcomoeba actually in Thomas's hand. So 2 Narcomoebas in a land in hand right now. He's all in on this Bitter Blossom plan. His hand doesn't really allow him to do anything else. And I like this here from Bishop, saying I'm going to go upstairs with a Lightning Bolt. Puts you down to 7. And Bishop is going to very slowly untap and prepare to take a draw step here. And he will now draw for his turn. Picked up a copy of Electrolyze.
Electrolyze is a huge draw here.
Yeah, that might just do it, honestly.
If you do 1 and 1, you basically knock Thomas down to 4 from the attack. And I don't see Thomas being able to win in 2 turns with his Bitter Blossoms out there.
No, neither do I. And I think that is probably the line I would take if I was in Bishop's seat here. 1 to the token, 1 to Thomas, knock him down to 6. Of course, draw a card. Snapcaster Mage is going to knock you down to 4. And then he gets 2 fairies, and then we're all set there. That's what it looks like to me. So Electrolyze will deal 1 to the fairy token, 1 to Thomas. There's your Snapcaster Mage attack. Thomas will get those 2 fairy tokens. Absolutely, he will. So he falls down even lower to 2. And now he's going to play a Faithless Link. So now he's got to find a way to get Bitter Blossoms off the battlefield. As he draws 2 cards, he'll discard 2 cards here in just a moment. Narcomoeba among them. That's a mountain. This was a Stinkweed Imp maybe? What do we got here? Oh, he's going to recast Faithless Looting. Pardon me. Okay, Creeping Chill is going to keep him alive. As he's going to do some dredging. Fair enough. Forgot that was in the deck for a moment there. So he does get the opportunity to play on. He does need to discard 2 cards. He'll discard a Thug of the Golgari variety and an Archamoeba. I think we might just see him pass the turn back here. So oddly enough, as he's actually going to crack a fetch land, fall down to 4. Huh.
I think Bishop's last card. Bishop picked up a Bolt off the Electrolyze last turn, so I think this is all for naught.
I see that Bolt now just like you do. Let's see what this is going to be. Shriekhorn.
I guess Shriekhorn gives you the out of hitting a Creeping Chill.
Oh, does it ever? To ferry the draw. Interesting how Creeping Chill changes the dynamic of things a little bit here. I'm going to activate the old Shriekhorn. No Creeping Chill there. Triggers. Target himself. Any Creeping Chills to be found? None there either. Now we'll get 2 fairy tokens, and now you're going to see that lethal lightning bolt to take care of this particular game. So, Jonathan Bishop is going to win game number 2 here over David Thomas. Jeskai Control and Dredge are going to go to a third and final one. And that kind of shows you a little bit of the power there of Surgical Extraction plus Snapcaster Mage, and why actually didn't really need Rest in Peace that game.
No, and the bolts and helixes were a pretty good response to the Bitter Blossom plan there, since it took Thomas a little bit of time to get the Bitter Blossoms going.
Interesting stuff here between these 2 players. Thomas being on the play here, though, is a huge advantage. You can already see him going back to the drawing board a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Bitter Blossom on the play versus the draw is quite a bit different in this kind of matchup.
Yeah, and I do think that Bishop, how many spell snares over there? Just 1 probably?
He is playing 1 in the main.
Okay.
And none on the board, so
Fair
he's got
enough.
the 1.
Still going to be very good in the matchup. I expect it to still be in Jonathan Bishop's deck, as it does counter, of course, Bitter Blossom and Cathartic Reunion, and sometimes some hard cast 2-mana threats. But being on the play here for David Thomas is a really, really big deal. We'll see if he can take advantage of it with his Dredge deck, as both these players go back to the drawing board a little bit. While they're working on that, we're going to talk about one of the newest inclusions here to Star City Games, and it is Versus Live. Every Tuesday and Thursday, 1 p.m. East Coast time, twitch.tv/SCG Tour, where you're watching this, is where you can also watch that in Versus Live. Ah, boy, Todd, Brad, Ross, everybody, the whole entire gang having a lot of fun with Versus Live. Some live play testing for you guys in the middle of your day. For those of you who don't want to pay attention to your day jobs, go ahead and throw this on in the background, just like I do at work.
Well, it is sort of your work.
Yeah, sort of my work.
You can justify it.
I can. Maybe not everybody can.
It's blown up. It's been well received from what I've...
It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. Your feedback has, of course, been very much welcome. So if you have any ideas for Versus Live, what we can do let us know. But twitch.tv/SCG Tour every Tuesday and Thursday, 1 p.m. East Coast time. Mark your calendars, sync up your time zones. Join us this coming Tuesday for should be a lot of fun. And we're going to have some special guests rolling through here on occasion. Brian Braun-Duin already stopped in earlier this, I guess, what are we in October? I think earlier this month he stopped by. Do a little commentating there. Uh-oh, do I get a stamp here?
Expedition on the Battlefield.
Which one?
David Thomas had a Mana Confluence.
Really?
Yeah. He's got 1 in his deck.
All right, man. I mean, I believe you. I didn't see it. Let's see what
that'd be my first change to his deck list, is removing the Mana Confluence for a City of Brass.
Guild of Ravnica split card. Nick, what the heck?
I'm trying to think of what would even...
Yeah, you work on that.
I'm trying to think what the best candidate would even be of the split cards.
Spell cast in the draw step. We haven't had Vendilion click yet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't even think. Is it the Demir one? Would that be the best shot?
Yeah, none of them. None of them.
I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing none of them are close.
That's an impossible square. I have 1. Now that I've looked at my card, I have 1.
You have Dredge 3 or more.
I have 2.
Come on, man.
I'm not very smart. I am not a smart man. Looks like both players are going to take a mulligan here. This is a tough bingo card here by Nick. Emrakul attacks? Since when?
But he gave you all the Emrakuls.
I am Emrakul flooded.
Yeah.
You're right. I get both of them.
Yeah, you get both.
Lucky me. Player has pregame effects. I think we will see some ley lines this weekend, honestly.
A lot of dredge. A lot of burn, too.
Yeah.
Maybe a good weekend for a couple of ley lines.
Yeah. Turn 1 hollow one. I think that deck's on a pretty sharp decline.
Yeah.
Understandably so.
I never thought that deck was very good.
Neither did I, but
yeah,
I've been wrong before. I don't think it's bad, but the people that like that deck really like that deck.
Yep.
I'm not one of them.
I mean, I get it. It's got some. Its best draws are so good. You can't lose to anything. But I never thought the deck was very impressive in the aggregate.
I'll tell you this much: it's not good against dredge.
No.
Unless they have a ley line, it is not good against dredge. Burning Inquiry. That's fine. That resolves. Both players taking a look. Scries are done resolving. We're going to start with David Thomas, who has a Wooded Foothills and is simply going to pass the turn back. Over to Jonathan Bishop, we're going to go. Scalding Tarn. Thomas is going to very quickly sacrifice his Wooded Foothills, fall down to at least 19, and it'll be a stomping ground. So Thomas will shuffle, present. Bishop will cut. We'll go over to David for his second turn of the game. Untap the stomping ground. Draw a card. We'll see what he can put together on that second turn of the game. There is that mana confluence. Look at you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I've ever really seen one of those before, and you just knew right away. I'm actually a little impressed.
Well, that's one of the expeditions that actually looks like something.
Yeah?
The ones that are hard to ID are just that all the fetches and all the Ravnica duels just seem like they're in the same just morass of grays and greens. The Ancient Tomb, that one's easy to identify.
True.
The Mana Confluence, the Strip Mine, those are easy.
It's fair. It's fair.
They actually look like something.
Yeah. But you'll have a talk with him. City of Brass.
City of Brass.
City of
Get
Brass
the City
next
of Brass in there.
Bishop is going to search up a steam vents there with the Scalding Tarn. For Bishop's second turn of the game, he's facing down a Bitter Blossom now. He'll sacrifice a Scalding Tarn. See what land this is going to be. He might be thinking Hallowed Fountain. But a little unsure of himself at this moment. Okay, it's going to be a Sacred Foundry here for Jonathan Bishop. Search for Escanta. A very powerful enchantment. Both players with powerful 2-mana enchantments to get this game started. This is a Shriekhorn. Thomas is going to use the Shriekhorn, targeting himself. Blood Crypt, Bloodstained Mire. Those are going to go to the graveyard. Does Thomas have a follow-up? It appears the answer is no. So all he did was make a fairy and get a Shriekhorn onto the battlefield. Now we go back over to Jonathan Bishop as he'll take a look at the top card of his deck with the very powerful Search for Escanta. Ooh, that is a good question. Blade Bingham. Does the Ravnica split card have to be from a specific Ravnica block? Unfortunately, it does. It's a Guilds of Ravnica split card cast. I like where your head's at trying to get me that free square with that wear tear earlier. However, no bueno. We head back over to David Thomas now. On his upkeep, he'll activate Shriekhorn. Turned over a Bloodghast and a Wooded Foothills, as now Thomas is going to play a Bloodstained Mire trigger and get back the Bloodghast. Here comes our Relax into the red zone. Bishop will not be falling down to 15. He'll be electrolyzing instead, taking care of a couple fairy tokens. It appears. Actually, he's going to deal Thomas 1 and draw himself a card. Search for his Escanta trigger. 4 cards in the grave right now here for our Jeskai control player. working himself towards transforming the very powerful enchantment into a very powerful land. Teferi's going to go to the graveyard. And now there's an island.
Bishop with Anger of the Gods in hand, and you kind of want to do a bend, don't break sort of thing, where you try to get a lot of his threats for your trouble with the Anger of the Gods. And you also don't mind riding with the Bitter Blossom for a little while and then resetting. Let Thomas take some points here and try to set it up where maybe you can burn him out without much effort.
And Thomas is going to sacrifice this Bloodstain Mark, get himself a Blood Crypt, falling down to 14 during that process. Bishop rearranging those lands. Perhaps he's got a spell to cast here in just a moment.
Bear in mind, no access to Cryptic Command right now.
Very good point. On the upkeep, Bitter Blossom will trigger, and now Shriekhorn will be targeting Thomas one more time. Creeping Chill, Gemstone Mine. Creeping Chill will be exiled. Thomas will gain 3 life. Bishop will lose 3. And I don't think Thomas has taken a draw step yet, so we will stop this game very quickly. David did not take a draw step. He activated Shriekhorn, but he did not draw or dredge.
Yeah, he milled over 2 and then just went straight to combat.
Went straight to combat. So we're communicating that with our table spotter there and see if we can get a fix to this situation. Moving a little too fast. It's the best part of Magic. How do you forget?
Yeah.
So they're going to randomize the library, have him draw a card. And now here's the Path to Exile to take care of the Bloodghast for good. Can you imagine not drawing your card?
It happened to me a few times with Gataxian Probe of just being like, they're dead. Okay, never mind. And just forgetting.
Best part of Magic is your draw step. I can't imagine not taking it. Manic Influence providing the blue for the prized amalgam. Good deck building.
That is nice.
Good deck building.
Now I think we're in the spot where we might see the Anger of the Gods. This might be enough.
I think this is a pretty good spot for it. Search for Azcanta trigger. That's card number 7. It's going to transform into Azcanta, the Sunken Ruin. Colonnade will come on down.
Part of it is the rest of Bishop's hand is a little bit awkward alongside the Anger of the Gods. He's got Vendilion Click and Secure the Waste. So I also kind of want to cast it here just to start freeing up some of the cards that don't play that well when you have Anger of the Gods in your hand.
Makes total sense to me. So now Thomas will make a nice little fairy token with his Bitter Blossom. This proactive approach is not working that great here for David Thomas. Let's see what this is going to be. Be a Stinkweed Imp. Oh, okay. We're going to have to get our hands dirty here.
Lambie.
Yeah. Path to Exile is going to take care of that. We definitely call that Plan B. I don't. Maybe Plan C.
It's low on the list.
Yes, it is. And we're going to go over to Jonathan Bishop now, who's got an active Azcanta. The only thing that's really missing from this puzzle is a Teferi. Bishop will draw. There's a Flooded Strand.
And if Thomas doesn't do anything major this turn, we might see a big Secure the Waste. Try to finish him out.
There's another fairy token. Thomas is going to fall down to 13. Thomas will draw. No dredging to be done. Looks like just one. The Summoning Sick one generally hangs out on top of the Bitter Blossom. 3 mana here. There's a prized Amalgam. Mana Confluence again providing the blue for the Amalgam. And now Bishop will sacrifice a Flooded Strand. Is it time for that Secure the Waste? It would be for 6.
Yep. You can attack Thomas down to 8 and get rid of a token, or you can just hang back and wait. And if you draw a removal spell for the Amalgam, then it becomes very easy. Last card in Bishop's hand is a Vendilion Click. Not great against Bitter Blossom.
There is Secure the Waste. And that one will be for 6 here. As easy as game number 1 was for David Thomas, games 2 and 3 have been much more difficult, and Rest in Peace hasn't even shown up because Bishop doesn't have any.
Yep.
Looks like a Lightning Bolt may have been the draw.
This is a last call for registration for today's 12:30 standard.
If I'm in Bishop's spot here, I think I'm just bolting the Amalgam and sending in.
12:30
Clear the path.
challenge. Please take your
This attack I don't really get because you're
You're going halfway a little bit here.
right. It's attack with all or attack with none, I
Yeah.
think. And what you want to do with the bolt is whatever you want to do with the bolt. Maybe Bishop's reasoning here is that he wants to cash in the Vendilion Click for the prized Amalgam because the click can do basically nothing else and save the bolt for something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the attack there is so good if you bolt the Amalgam that I think I would have preferred that.
So it looks like Thomas is going to take 3 from the attack. Going to fall down to 9.
And also, if you want to trade the Vendilion Click with the prized Amalgam, you got to send everything because there's so much less incentive on Thomas's side to send the Amalgam when you have a chump blocker back.
Sure. Well, it's going to be even Vendilion Click in the draw step. Wow, we're Creeping Chill flooded. Okay.
I mean, the Creeping Chills are they're not bad for retail here.
Well, that's one aspect of the deck that you think doesn't come up very often, but it's going to matter quite a bit right now. I think he probably has to take a Creeping Chill.
Well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to take a Bitter Blossom.
Yeah. So Creeping Chill going to go to the bottom. Thomas will draw a card. Not quite sure what he drew, but the hand we know is Stomping Ground, Bitter Blossom, and Creeping Chill. Five mana. What is this?
Oh my goodness.
Conflagrate. Oh, what a beating. That is a beat down.
That's a huge swing here.
Now, Thomas has got to be a little careful with how he attacks, maybe, just because there is a Colonnade down there, if memory serves, and he's just going to attack for 1. And I'm a little surprised that the Amalgam wouldn't attack.
It's
but
so
the
good as a
token
blocker
would.
against the. So he has a token lined up against the Colonnade and a 3/3 against the 1/1s.
Okay. All right, pass the turn back. I guess my fear is I don't know how much longer. I don't know how long I feel like I can play against Escanta.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there's an argument for attacking there. I just think Thomas's reasoning there is that he wants the Amalgam back as a blocker. He may think that he will have to play the second Bitter Blossom at some point, and he'll need that cushion.
Well, Lightning Helix is the find there for Jonathan Bishop, and now Cryptic Command also. So Jeskai is starting to flex its muscles a little bit here.
Yeah.
You see the way that Bishop has spread his mana out a little. He's going to play Cryptic Command. Looks like he's going to say, tap your team, draw a card. In for 3, puts you down to 5. I've got Lightning Helix at the ready. Does he have Helix plus Bolt?
Yeah.
Because if he does, that's going to do it, and that will do it. As Jonathan Bishop is going to win this game and match here over David Thomas, 2-1. Jeskai Control going to take care of Dredge, and for how easy it was for Thomas in Game 1, Games 2 and 3 went the opposite way, and for Jonathan Bishop in that backwards hat, it's a win. He's 2-0 here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, the Game 3, you see the cost of